nafilatan lak asak an yab asaka rabuka makama mahmudan. That is, and as for the night, keep awake part of it as an additional prayer. For thee soon thy Lord will raise thee to a station of praise and glory. And there is also a hadith which is said to be narrated by Salman Farisi, may Allah be pleased with him, who says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, I quote, perform optional prayers, for it was the habit of the righteous people before you. It will bring you nearer to your Lord, atone your bad deeds, prevent you from doing bad deeds, and drive away diseases from your bodies. Based on the surah, based on the verse in the surah that I've just recited, and the authenticity of this hadith, can you further enumerate on the benefits of optional prayers?
Yes, like I said before, praying 5 times daily, continuously, and praying as many times as possible daily, continuously. And because prayer is an act of ibadah, which automatically or directly links the individual spiritually with God. So therefore, the more additional prayer you come, the more you stay on this direct line with God.
With Allah,
you understand? With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Some people just believe after Ramadan is over, it means a closure to optional prayers also, just the mandatory ones, the obligatory prayers.
In fact, some of the additional acts of ibadah, or acts of worship, like the obligatory ones, they are important not only because of the fact that they are, being commanded or being ordered, but because of their timing. You just mentioned tahajjud. Ramadan is important because of the timing. Tahajjud also is important because of the timing. Tahajjud is praying, is night prayer. Anytime after, let's say, falling asleep for a while, if you're sleeping for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, you wake up and start praying. That is tahajjud. So tahajjud, that's night prayers. Additionally, and usually it is a very difficult time because particularly for those of us that who spend the whole day, for those of us who spend the whole day working, and by the time you go to bed, you are tired. You are physically strained and exhausted. So for you to sleep 2 hours, 3 hours, wake up and start praying is not easy. Even for those of us that are not doing anything, by the time you get into deep sleep, for you to cut it and start praying is very difficult, particularly when the climate is very cold. So it carries a lot of reward. Like the Quran describes it, it gives you special recognition. It gives the individual a special status as far as the relationship between him and God, or between her and God is concerned. There's a special level of spiritual, spiritual recognition, spiritual progress and development. And it's a special status that the individual enjoys as far as his relationship or her relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is concerned. So it is a difficult, very, very difficult act of ibadah, but it carries a lot of reward. Like the Quran makes it, and the authentic hadith that you have just mentioned, the benefits are there, the spiritual benefits, the health benefit, and the social benefit. And the more act of ibadah, act of worship that we do, or Muslims do, or the person does, or the more good deeds that one does, particularly in the form of prayers and fasting, and so the more good deeds that one does, the cleaner spiritually the person becomes, and the nearer to God, the person, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the person becomes, and the lighter and the better and the clearer the heart becomes a very, very clean-hearted somebody, a pure Muslim, who's very peaceful, whose everything is peaceful, who's very caring and sharing, who's very accommodating, who's compassionate, who's open to serving not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but serving humanity at large for the sake of God subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in other words, it takes the individual to a level of perfection, even though man is not perfect. But it's a general rule, it's a general concept, but at least it takes you to a very, very, very high level in terms of spiritual perfection and in terms of enhancing the relationship spiritually between the individual and God subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is our role model, and he was the embodiment of all the good virtues that you can think of in this world. And Islam also urges us to exemplify the virtues that he possessed. the virtues of love, care, and compassion.
Yeah.
And we try to emulate him during Ramadan by the poor, the needy, that you know, majority of us Muslims in this country live in abject poverty and are struggling every day to meet our daily needs. And as a result of that, now that Ramadan is over, how can we Muslims be more vigilant and adamant in continuing this kind gesture, reaching out to the poor and the needy at all times?
Okay, like I said before.
Because in Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Innamal mu'minina ikhwatun. All Muslims are but a single brotherhood. And this should be something that is a continuous process, assisting one another at all times.
You're right. Like I said a short while ago, one of the distinctive characteristics of Islam, and one of the major reasons why Islam is called a way of life, is continuity. Prophet Muhammad was known for so many ethical and moral values, good manners, and he was continuously known for those values, for those ethical and good values and manners, whether within or outside Ramadan. What used to happen with him, and what happens with every Muslim, good Muslim, is that when Ramadan comes, we intensify. That's the only thing we do. We do more, in other words. But the standard of adherence, or our level of adherence, and standard of commitment to the teachings of Islam remain the same within and outside Ramadan. But what we do when Ramadan comes, we intensify. We increase the rate of performance. In other words, we intensify. So he was known for so many good values. You mentioned sharing, caring, trustworthiness, reliability, sincerity, doing everything for the sake of God. And he was very sincere. He was very close to people. In other words, he would never want to keep distant or to keep away from his people. Because if you don't come and mix with the people, if you don't bring yourself closer to the people, you will not know their problems. And if you don't know their problems, you're not able to solve them. You understand? So all these good values that he was known for, moral and ethical, he used to observe those values within and outside Ramadan. And every good Muslim is expected to emulate the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like you said in one of the sessions.
The one that we need to emulate.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The process of emulating him must be a continuous one, continuously. He always speaks the truth. You understand? He always commands the good and prevent evils. You understand? He was always sincere. He was always trustworthy. He was always sharing. He loved humanity. He was always very close to the very down to earth, very humble, and very understanding too. And his attitude and approach was a very encompassing one, that he would never discriminate, regardless of people's different social status, spiritual status, and other cultural status. But for him, the human being is a human being. The Muslim is a Muslim. He treats every Muslim as a Muslim. He treats every human being as a human being. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these good values of Islam, and you know, there is one value which is essential to our survival as human beings on earth, that is peace.
That's right.
We cannot survive as a nation, as an ummah, as a community, you understand, as a civilized people. We cannot exist, we cannot survive in the absence of peace. Peace is essential. And all these values, ingredient. All these values that I have just mentioned to you, they are essential when it comes to not only realizing peace, but also sustaining that peace. It is important that we have peace, and it is important that the peace that we have, that the peace that we enjoy is sustainable, or is sustained. So all these good values that I have mentioned are also essential in order for us to continue to live in an atmosphere of peace and understanding. And he was also always reconciling, very tolerant, very accommodating, and very open to people, and very forgiving. Unlike what happened to most of us in this time, some of us were very respected in society because of their social status or their religious status, but they are not forgiving. You do one single mistake to him or to her, he's angry for good. And he will cut off.
Or hell forever.
Forever.
Or never speak.
That is not Islamic at all.
To him or hell forever.
In fact, that was why the Prophet ﷺ ordained that in the event of any misunderstanding, if you want to
forgive and forget.
and then in order for you to realize